Yep, we're good.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So thanks for joining everybody. Today, I'm really excited just because the three panelists we have today are good friends of mine. And so just know that they're here to share their story and be open with you and talk about a lot of things that you don't usually get to hear about in college, right? Everyone talks about all the great things that are going on. And behind that, there's a lot of steps that need to be taken and overcome to get there. And so feel free. I hope you feel comfortable enough to know that they're here to help you. And so you can ask those daunting questions about going to college, figuring out what you want to do. How do you mix your personal life and your academics and everything else that comes along, especially for our college freshmen. And then we also have some college or some high school seniors and juniors, right, Cassie?
Yes, yeah, we do.
Okay, great. So I'm hoping, they're also able to listen and ask questions. And so I'll kick it off to David, who's also helping co-lead this. And maybe we can start with some introductions.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Francisco, Elizabeth, Bernice. We're really grateful that you took the time to speak with our students. It's a really good opportunity for our students to hear about the experiences, but people with a similar background, about the journey that you guys have undergone through, personal life, college, work experience, etc. Yeah, I'd like to start with introductions. I first would like the panelists to first introduce themselves, and I'd like each of the freshman students from Mission Scholar to introduce themselves. And then the rest of the group can just say their names just due to time. Elizabeth, would you like to start off?
Yes. So hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Nunez. I am a Mexican immigrant who currently lives in the Central Valley. I am a recent UC Berkeley graduate, and I studied neurobiology and environmental biology. And I'm currently a junior specialist at UC Davis Department of Neurosurgery.
Awesome. Great. Yep.
Yeah, I can go next.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, okay, I wasn't sure. Yeah, my name's Francisco. You guys can just call me Frankie. I'm originally from Calexico, California in the Imperial Valley. So right on that border with Mexico and Arizona, that little pocket there in California. I also graduated from UC Berkeley, and I got a degree in political economy. And what am I missing? I mean, I'm currently a senior analyst at a private equity fund that does real estate. And yeah, I mean, feel free to ask me anything. I'm pretty open. I'm very relaxed. I'm not much older than you guys, so it could be really informal.
Awesome.
I guess that means it's my turn. Hi, everyone. My name is Berenice Ortiz. I am also, like the rest of the folks on the panel, graduated from Berkeley. I graduated with the legal studies bachelor's. And right now, I'm currently working in a risk management function at Freddie Mac. I work specifically in fair lending, so everything that has to do with non-discriminatory law based on sex, race, marital status, all that stuff. So if you're interested in that, happy to answer questions as well. Or if you're like on the legal track or are considering, legal studies or anything in that area, I'm happy to talk to you about that as well.
Awesome. Well, let's have one of the college freshmen start off. I think the first one that I see on here on my screen is Jackie Gonzalez.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list. Okay, so hi, my name is Jackie Gonzalez. My major is economics and global studies with an emphasis in international trade and relations. My career interests, I would say, is to become an international relations specialist. So basically someone who does general PR work for international companies.
Awesome. Adolfo, do you want to start? Or
Me?
yeah, I just want to say.
Hi, I'm Adolfo, and I'm a junior in high school.
Awesome. Christian?
My name is Christian. I'm a current freshman at UC Berkeley, and I'm intending to study computer science and business, and I hope to be a software engineer and developer at a top tech company one day.
Awesome. Vanessa?
Hi, I'm Vanessa. I'm currently a freshman at Azusa Pacific University and am majoring in nursing, and I'm hoping to become a nurse practitioner.
Awesome. Let's just keep on going down the list. So whoever's next. So Wendy.
Hi, my name is Wendy Benitez, and I'm a junior at San Marcos High School.
David, I don't think they know who's next on like your screen, so maybe
Oh, you can't
someone-
see. Yeah, I
someone
can call
pick
them
the
out.
next. Can someone just pick the next student to go? And then once we're wrapped up, that's fine.
Sure. Kathy?
Hi, my name is Kathy. I'm a freshman at USC studying mechanical engineering. I'm interested in entering the automotive industry, and my dream job would be to work at Tesla.
Awesome. Kathy, do you want to pick someone to go next?
Fernanda.
Great.
Hi, my name is Fernanda. I'm also a freshman at USC, and I'm studying public policy with a minor in Spanish. And then within public policy, I'm interested in the law track right now, and I'm leaning towards either the healthcare or immigration fields. And who's missing? Okay, Jasmine.
Hi, I'm Jasmine, and I'm a freshman at Sonoma State. I'm studying business with a concentration in accounting.
You want to pick the next person, Jasmine?
Vanessa, I don't know if she's gone yet.
Okay, so let's go to Isabella.
I'm a junior at San Marcos High School.
Awesome. Maria Fernandez.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Maria, and I'm a senior at Santa Barbara High School. I'll
Awesome.
pick Anuk.
Hi, my name is Anuk. I'm a senior at Dos Pueblos. How about Brianna Lopez?
Hi, my name is Brianna Lopez, and I'm a senior at Santa Barbara High School. And then I'll pick Christian.
Christian already went, so let's do Lizette.
Hi, my name is Lisette. I'm a junior at San Marcos High School.
Right, I think Alvaro can go next.
Hi, my name is Alvaro, and I'm a junior at Dos Pueblos High School.
Great, and Julie, I think you might be our last one just in case. Let's see.
Hi, I'm also a junior at San Marcos High School.
Okay, great. So I think what we're going to do is kick off one or two questions, and then we're hoping that then leaves for the students to just be able to ask any of our panelists what you might have questions on. And so I think the first one, just for context, if the panelists could go through and just share a bit more about your story and your upbringing, if you feel comfortable. I think it's always nice to connect, like maybe what our parents did, our groundings, and so we can go from there. Lizbeth, do you want to start?
Yes. So I don't know if you guys remember, but I'm from the Central Valley, and when we came from Mexico, the reason why we moved specifically here was for agriculture, because a lot of the jobs for undocumented folks was in grape fields, orchards, vineyards. Specifically where I live, we work in grape. My mom was a single mother, so we were very low income. I didn't really know what my plans were after high school. I knew that college was an option, but it was never really mentioned to me by my counselor. And I was very fortunate to have two older sisters who actually paved the road for me and went to college before I did, because if I didn't have that as role models, I probably wouldn't have attempted to do that. But I was very lucky also to have gotten DACA during my high school years. So when I did apply to college, it was much easier for me to apply for financial aid and scholarships. And I know that's usually a obstacle that a lot of people have to face if they're not born in this country. And my future career goals, well, I've always wanted to be a doctor. I didn't really specifically know that I wanted to be a neurosurgeon until probably my senior year of high school. So I did know that going into college, I wanted to study neuroscience or neurobiology at Berkeley. But I didn't know the challenges that would come from being a woman in STEM or just a minority in STEM. So those 4 years were so tough, but you know, we got through them. So if you guys have any questions about pre-med or trying to be in STEM, you know, direct those questions towards me. It's a lot of stuff to go over, and I have a lot of mistakes that you guys can learn from. So definitely, I'm here if you guys need to talk.
Thanks for sharing. Frankie, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so sorry if I'm looking at different screens, it's just because I got a lot going on. But yeah, so just from the very beginning, I grew up in Calexico, California. I was actually raised by my grandmother, my mom and my brother, and it's always just been me and my mom, also single mother and all that. She moved to LA and I chose to stay behind just because when she decided to move, I was in middle school and already had friends and I liked the small town feel and all that. So she let me stay. As far as my high school experience, you know, I grew up low income, you know, Section 8 apartment with my grandmother. No real, like, it was real funny for me just because I had no real parents in that sense. Because my grandmother, you know how grandmothers are, they're super sweet. You know, I'd get home at whatever time I wanted and, you know, nothing. So I didn't have that kind of proper guidance. But what I did have is good friends around me. You know, I was always involved in sports and soccer and tennis, and my group of friends were always in those AP classes. So for me, it was always just kind of like, I wanted to be in those classes with my friends, and, you know, I kind of went with them. And for the most part, I didn't know what I was really doing. You know, I was just kind of going with the flow almost. I didn't think about much about college. I just knew I wanted to go. I don't like being left behind. So, you know, senior year came. It was real tough just for me because like those applications cost money. And sometimes you get some of the free waivers sometimes, but the ones you do get, it's only a small amount. And, you know, God forbid you want to apply to private school because that's more money you got to think about. So like I said, I had good friends. I had my coaches were great to me. They were my role models at the time in high school. And for me, it was always just being resourceful, you know, like, you know, I didn't have a laptop all through high school, but the public library was open. My friend's laptop was available all the time. So it was just about me kind of wanting to do something and kind of a combination of, you know, having friends that are good to be around. And I managed to get into Berkeley. During college, it was also a shock too, just because I wanted to study business or some kind of business. But in my mind, I was like, I'm going to manage a business, you know? I didn't know anything about a Deloitte or a LinkedIn, or I didn't know anything about that. And, you know, when I got there, everyone was talking about that, you know, and I had never heard of any of these places in my life. And at first semester, it was probably one of my most rough semesters just because it was just kind of a combination of trying to feel like I was catching up to something. You know, I didn't have a resume. I didn't have a LinkedIn. I didn't know about anything. So I definitely joined organizations that were important to me. And again, try to surround my friends like Estefania and Berenice that, you know, were motivated enough and would help me kind of, you know, feel at home in college and stuff. So during college, just again, I think a big part of my story is just being resourceful, you know, with friends, with networks, with programs like this one, like Mission Scholars, and just trying to find out about different opportunities. And that's kind of a bit about it. I mean, just kind of in a snip, you know, there's definitely big challenges throughout that are, you know, details in the story, but big picture, that's kind of was my experience. And it sucks, but it's rewarding, you know, once you put in the work. So, yeah.
Thanks, Frankie. And I think you bring up a good point. You know, we come in, we don't know anything about resumes, LinkedIn, what the recruitment's like for whatever type of job. And so the whole point of this LIT program, and hopefully the college freshmen are able to hear from someone else, that your resume and your LinkedIn and all that stuff matters, because you come in and you already feel behind. And so having this ahead of time lets you better prepare. And so Berenice, do you want to share a bit more about yourself too?
No, thanks. No, I'm just kidding. Of course. So let's see. Similar to folks on the panel, I am a first generation college student. So my upbringing was a little bit different, and my motivations were a little bit different. So I have an older brother who, and my parents were divorced. So I was primarily lived with my mom and my older brother. And shortly after my parents got divorced, my older brother began to get into a lot of trouble. He wasn't going to school. He didn't want to go to class. And I almost don't want to say for some reason, but I saw what he was doing, and I saw that that's not a route that I wanted to take. I kind of knew that I wanted to do something different with my life. And I kind of like, you know, in some way, he almost inspired me to go to the college track. Like I was seeing, you know, there's two routes I can take. I can see someone doing this route and I don't like that. So let me try this route. Let me try to go this way. And that's what I did. And I think, you know, it was tough because, I mean, as much as my parents would say like, yes, go to college, do good in school, get good grades. I mean, at the end of the day, they didn't really know the educational system here. They didn't really know what getting to college even meant. Like, what's the first step? They didn't know. And so I was lucky enough to come across people similar to Frankie who kind of had those networks and those connections and those families who had already gone to college. And so I was able to kind of get some of that knowledge passed down to me through, in particular, my best friend who her older brother took the college track, and he actually graduated from UC Irvine. And I got a lot of that guidance from them. And then I also had a program, the Educational Talent Search at UC Davis. Shout out to Latoya from that program, because she got me through the college applications. She helped me. She led what do we call these? The field trip. She led like a field trip to some colleges in Southern California. And I mean, honestly, I had not stepped foot on a college campus until that trip. And I would have never gone to Southern California to see colleges outside of, you know, my immediate area if it wasn't for this program. And so, I think all these things, all these networks, and just your motivation, you know, get you places. So I think for all of y'all on the call, I mean, kudos to you you know, you're part of a program, you're already there, you're setting yourself up for success. And I think it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, that's really great to hear. So maybe we can actually keep with Berenice, and if we could go through for all our panelists and just share one particular struggle that you had and how you recovered. And you have all been mentioning resources. And so if you can think of resources, maybe drop them in the chat. And if you want to give a special shout out to one, you can mention it when we're going through your question. And then for the college freshmen, this will be the last question we ask. And then we're hoping you can lead the way for the next questions and just kind of treat this as a conversation. And then any high school senior or junior, feel free to join in as well. So Berenice, if you could start with just one of your, looking back on your path so far, what was one big struggle and how did you recover?
Just one? I'm just kidding. Okay, so I have one in mind. My like Frankie was mentioning the Deloittes and the ENYs of the world and all of this, and I joined LBSA, the Latino Business Student Association at Berkeley my freshman year, and I actually went when I arrived to Berkeley. Well, I jumped around a lot with majors. I thought I was gonna do psychology. After my first semester, I was like, no, I'm gonna do business, hence why I joined the business association. And then and during this time, a lot of folks in that group were applying for our top sponsor internships, one of them which was Deloitte. And everyone was interviewing for this summer internship our sophomore year. And I was like, cool, I'm in this business club. I should be good to go. Like, I'm ready for this interview. And I mean, I guess I had thought about the idea of an interview, but I really hadn't been in this kind of professional setting interview. So I show up to this interview. It's like one of the partners of the firm of like in their tax business line. And I'm just like, he's asking me, first question he asks me is, tell me a little bit about yourself. And I had no idea how to answer that question. I was like, what do you want to know? My parents are divorced. I come from Fairfield, California. There's a Jelly Belly there. Like, it was so bad. Looking back, I definitely walked out of there feeling pretty overwhelmed and feeling like I didn't do my best job and unprepared. And needless to say, I didn't get the offer to intern at Deloitte that summer. And it was pretty hard because most people that I knew who had gotten it, and I was the one who didn't. And so I kind of had to, shake it off a little bit and be like, okay, well, what could I have done different? And the next summer, what do you know, another internship opportunity with Deloitte. And this time I was like, all right, I know what I did. I reflected on it. I know what I could have done to prepare a little better. And so I reached out this time around. I reached out to my resources, and I had some folks from the business organization look over my resume. I had someone do like one-on-one mock interviews, and I even had a friend who like helped me dress up for the interview, and it went significantly better than it had gone my sophomore year. So junior year, there I am working in San Francisco, interning at Deloitte. So, I mean, that's just to say that there's gonna be failures, and that's okay. Like, I think people don't talk about it enough, and maybe they should. But if you want something, don't let if it doesn't work out the way you wanted to the first time around, that's completely fine. Like, that happens all the time, and you just have to know and be confident in yourself and your abilities that you can overcome that. So I think one of the questions was like, do you have any like regrets? And I think with any stumble or any failure, I really don't think there's room for regret. I think it's more like reflect, and if this is really, and reassess. If you still want that, what you were shooting for, then reflect on it, see how you could do better, and try again, because that's really the best we can do.
Well, that's good advice. Yeah, reflecting, I think, is really good to then move forward. Oh, Frankie, do you want to go next? Just one biggest stumble and how you recovered?
Yeah. So I mean, I think definitely the biggest one for me, I mean, I've definitely, echoing Berenice, I failed a lot, I mean, I would be lying to you if I didn't. For every job I got, I applied to 1,000 of them and all that. But I think the one that stands out most for me, that was probably the one that hurt the most, was during my time at Berkeley. Berkeley has a separate business school that you have to apply to. It's super competitive because now you're not competing against other high school students, you're competing against college students at Berkeley to try to get into this program. So it's a thing that you apply, your first semester, your sophomore year, and by second semester, you'll know, like sometime early second semester. So really rigorous process. I did my internships, I built a resume, I wrote good essays, and I got in. Except my offer was conditional. And during my second semester of college, I was going through things, personal things, like it's not all black and white, like, some of these college admission people think people's lives is, part of being diverse is that you come from diverse backgrounds as well. And anyhow, I mean, I was worrying about sending money back home. My grandma was sick, my mom was sick. I was having a hard time coping with some of the stuff that I went through early on in high school, and stuff that I at the time thought was normal and realized it really wasn't, the stuff that I went through early on, growing up. So I was having a rough semester, and my offer was conditional. And at the time I was taking the statistics class, which was my last class to pass to be fully transitioned into the business school. I had a 70%, but the class cut the bottom 10%. So I was technically not passing because classes in college are curved. Some classes in Berkeley, they force the bottom 10% to fail, even if you on paper have a passing letter grade. I went to go explain that to my professor at the time that, hey, like I worked really hard for this business school, and I just need like 2 more percent. That was all it was taking, 2%. It would have been 3 questions right on exam. It was nothing. And my professor told me to find another major, and I did not pass, and I got kicked out of business school. And for me, that was probably one of the most hurtful things, because I realized how much, for me, it was not just how hard I worked in college, it was how hard I've worked all my life. And I had managed to accomplish something, and it just went away for 2% without people taking into consideration that maybe my background is not as simple as I just have to focus on school. I have to focus on other things. And that's part of, being Latino, being a minority, being, underrepresented, individual in the US in general, that we come from different backgrounds that the common folk might not experience, or the majority, if you will. And I felt, at the time, I felt a lot of anger. I felt a lot of resentment, and I just couldn't understand why. I even wrote a letter to the business school explaining what I was going through, explained some of the doctor's notes, and I got a flat. Too bad, So for me, that was really hurtful, because I not only, missed my chance of studying business in college, I also got, I didn't pass a class, so I got kicked out of a couple of organizations. And I heard the talk, I heard people, that kid that had the admission and messed it up. I heard it. I heard the talk, you're not supposed to really care what people say, but in those moments, they do hit you. You do hear people talking. And for me, once I got past through those roller coaster of emotions I was going through, I was just focused on proving people wrong and showing what the business school was missing. So for me, it was just, hey, I'm not in the business school, but I can still learn finance. I enrolled in all these programs, Wall Street Prep, participate on these conferences, network my way into a Goldman Sachs internship, network my way into a Morgan Stanley job right after college, ended up in private equity, 2 years out of college. So it was, for me, it was just like, it's not going to be easy, when you fail, it sucks, but I'm a firm believer it's everything the way you look at things. Maybe if I had gone to the business school, I wouldn't be, in a position that I'm happy in right now. So you just gotta, when something bad happens to you, say, hey, maybe this happens for a reason. If you want to involve religion or not, that's a thing too. But in any sense, just if you fail, just focus on, okay, maybe that thing, that major, maybe that job, maybe that whatever it is wasn't for me. And just focus, okay, how can I get to my goal, you know, and still without that thing I thought I needed. And it's just about, you know, not giving up, being persistent. And, you know, there's so many different angles and so many opportunities. You just gotta put the work into it. So that, I think that, again, that's probably my biggest one.
Thanks for sharing. I remember being there. Frankie and I did work study together, and I'm just really grateful that you were comfortable enough sharing that, because you are going to go through things, and sometimes they're not even academic, and you still are expected to perform, and there are consequences that you didn't even know expected, or were expecting. So just keep that in mind. You're not the only one, and there's ways to manage it.
Yeah, and I would say, like, when an institution is telling you or shutting you out, or you feel like you're being shut out, that can be really tough, because I think we're kind of conditioned to think like the institution knows, and like, you know, they're the best dictators of what is worthy and what is not. But that's not true, and it's hard to shake that off sometimes.
Yeah, agreed. Lisbeth, do you want to share an obstacle? And then after this, students, this is all on you. We're not going to say anything. You get to ask questions. If the panelists want to take the lead and share more, they can, but I'm hoping students feel comfortable enough to ask those deeper questions. So Lisbeth, take it away.
I'm just going to tie back to what Berenice said about institutions shutting you down. Because you are first generation, because you are a minority, you are automatically a target for discrimination. And it truly sucks. I remember coming out of high school, I was so confident in my abilities. And once I got to Berkeley, and it was this whole new culture, like the environment of academia is nothing to what I had known it to be, especially in my field. It was mostly white male dominated. I remember my advisor telling me that students with my background shouldn't be taking chemistry their first semester. And I was like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, is it because I'm undocumented? Is it because I'm Mexican? And you know what? I put my faith in her, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to take it. And because I didn't do that one step, it pushed me back like the rest of my 4 years, because I trusted her. And, you know, sometimes you have to trust your instincts, or you trust your abilities. And because of these 4 years of people telling you that you're not going to be able to do something, I think the biggest challenge for me was imposter syndrome. And that's when you start doubting everything. You start doubting if you're worthy enough to be there, if you deserve the opportunities you were given. And personally, you can recognize that you have worked so hard to get to this point, but in the back of your mind, you have all of these opinions of people and comments that are trying to bring you down. And the question also asks, like, how have you overcame that? And to be honest with you, I am still struggling with that to this day. With my job, I'm like, how did I get here? Like, do I deserve this position? And I'm just telling you guys this right now, that you deserve every single opportunity that comes your way. I know that you might not feel that way at times because of what people are going to tell you or what obstacles you're going to come across. But I think we really can't change the system as much as we would like to change it. And I think the best way to cope with it is through support of friends, family. Personally, because we're first generation, we have this like secret weapon that we have motivation to not only work for ourselves, but we're doing this for our family. We're doing this to represent them and to accomplish something that they have not accomplished yet. So I feel like even if we're being told all this, you know, we still have them to lean back on, or we still have this determination to do this for not only us, but for them. So even if we're told all these things, we're just like, whatever, we're here to do something, you know, like, don't get in my way. Yeah. Okay, opening up to questions now, I think, Estefania.
Go ahead, Jackie.
So my question is, what educational like opportunity or experience helped you with the job you have now? So it could be like anything you did while you were in school, so like internships or study abroad or anything of that sort.
Who wants to take the wheel?
Yeah, I can go. I mean, I think definitely, I mean, it just, definitely internships help. I'm not going to say no. They do help, getting experience and, seeing how to, how to just what's going on out there. That's a given, and I think the biggest things for me that I like to share with the group that I feel it's important. It's just learning how to sell yourself. I think is probably my most powerful tool I have to get any job I want or influence anyone really. And I as far as I learned that academically, maybe just, we've been talking about, being minority, being from diverse backgrounds. You really want to make sure you sell your story, you sell yourself, you sell your ideas, just because everyone, it's almost an advantage that we have, that the world's not black and white for us, and we have different perspectives and we have different backgrounds. And Lisbeth mentioned we have different motivations, like for me, it's definitely my family. And then also wanting to, travel and party and stuff. I'm not going to lie, but definitely number one is your family and, where you came from and, your background and all that. But I think it's really important to learn how to sell yourself and sell your ideas. And when you go into an interview, just, thinking about how can I be different? Everyone's going to have an internship on their resume, especially in college, especially, if you're competing at a high level, everyone's going to have a good GPA. Everyone's going to have some kind of internship. Maybe they got it off their own parents, that, internship of their own parents. That was the case for me in, places that I interviewed, everyone's going to have GPA. Everyone's going to check every box. That's what I'm trying to say. But what people can't check the box all the time as a differentiator in competition is personality and learning how to sell yourself and just, articulating yourself and articulating your story and, just your ideas and your perspective and standing out that way. I can't count how many times where I sat in an interview room and I looked at the lobby and I'm, again, in my field, I'm like, out of my company of 200 people, I think I'm like the second Latino in the entire company. But I see that as an advantage when I'm interviewing. I see everyone has the same, I know everyone's gonna talk about the same things. So how can I stand out as a minority? And I think it definitely serves to your advantage in some sense, for the better or the worse.
I think we can just go. Whoever has a question can unmute themselves and ask.
I wanted to ask, so I know that you guys are like pretty successful or like very successful, and congrats on that. But like in that instance, once you like saw that failure, or like once you saw that bad letter grade or something, like what were your first initial reactions, and like what did you do in those next few weeks or next few days or next few months in order to heal yourself and like kind of keep moving forward? Because I know that like whenever I make a mistake, I kind of like get unmotivated and I just like lay down and not do any work for like a day or two. So I was just wondering like what you guys did.
Yeah, Lisbeth or Vedenice, do you want to tag team that?
Sure. So similar to, well, okay, so I also had an experience of failing a class, and that was rough. I think that was the first time for me that I had failed anything, really, like actually failed. I think it depends. It'll depend largely on your personality type and how you just naturally come about things and how you handle things. But I for instance, am a very anxious person. I'm a very nervous person. So when something's not, when I saw that I wasn't doing well in that class, I was automatically like, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to take it next semester and I'm going to just get it right. But I wasn't digging down deep enough as to what led up to that point where I was failing a class. And I had other personal things going on, I signed up to take the class again. I get a call from Deloitte and the recruiter, and she's like, hey, so I saw you didn't pass passed your class. So, are you going to retake it? Like, what's going on? And I was like, yeah, sure. I'm retaking it next semester. I'm going to get an A. Don't worry about it. We're all good. Which was probably a big, it was a mistake. I would say it was a mistake. I think I kind of got ahead of myself instead of checking in with myself and seeing, how I was doing and really what needed to change for me to continue to succeed. Instead, I just kind of tried to jump into the next one, and which led to me failing the class a second time. So I didn't fail it once, I failed it twice. And that hit me. That really sucked. But, like I was saying earlier, like institutions don't define you.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, that grade did not define me. That grade did not stop me. I would say that it was tough, and I questioned my ability for a while, and I questioned, I almost even asked myself, like, what's wrong with me? Like, what's wrong with me that everyone can pass this class, but I can't pass this class? And it really goes deeper than that. So I think you really have to ground yourself. And what I had to do was realize that life is more complicated than doing homework assignments and submitting things and doing well. It's a lot more complicated than that. And you have to learn yourself. You have to learn what soothes you. For me, it was realigning with my goals. I had to check in with myself again and say, okay, like, what do I want? Where do I want to end up? And how do I get there despite having had this bump along the way, or bumps along the way? Like, how do I get back to where I want to be? And really, I'll echo what Lisbeth said. Like, I thought about my family a lot, almost so much that I felt like I was carrying a burden. I almost felt like I was failing my family because I was failing this class. But I had to learn to also not put everything on my shoulders, which was part of the problem, which I realized later on, was part of the problem, that I was putting too much pressure on myself to be perfect, to do everything right, to be in the library 12 hours a day, because that's just what I thought I needed to do. And you just kind of have to learn what works for you. Just because other people are doing something, just because other people are drinking 10 energy drinks a day, staying up, studying all night, that doesn't mean that's the healthiest thing for you, or that doesn't mean that works for you. So it's really just not letting these bumps in the road deviate your main track. Like, you need to continue to remind yourself, especially in those hard times, what it is that you want and what it is what your purpose is. So for me, it was grounding myself into what my purpose was and what it was that I wanted.
Thanks for sharing that. So I want to be conscious of time. We have 10 minutes left. And so if you have a question and you're able to raise your hand via Zoom, we can maybe fit 3 questions in. If responses are, let's see, 3. Yeah, we can maybe do that. So does the student have another question? Feel free to ask.
I have a question. This is for like all 3 of you. At what point did you, or like, do you think you will feel like you've made it, whatever you define made it to be?
Lisbeth, do you want to take that one? And maybe Berenice and Frankie can chat there so we can get another question in.
So I think everyone just has to understand that we all have different circumstances. So like how they were saying that they failed a class, well, I think it's all about self-reflection. Like, if I was in a different circumstance, would I have failed? Would I have passed? So personally, did I make it? I made it out of college. So, I mean, I think we have to count little achievements. I think I won't be happy until I get my MD and I'm practicing and I can say that I've finished my goals. But for made it, I think I'm pretty proud of what we have accomplished as panelists, and I'm sure that once you are in our position, you'll feel that that was a big step to conquer, and it was just something that you feel like you did something.
Yeah. And quickly, Lisbeth, can you tell them what you're doing now? I just think it's the coolest thing.
Oh yes. So as I said, I want to be a neurosurgeon, and I don't know how I was able to land this job, but I currently am a researcher for UC Davis Health, and we are studying patients who have undergone DBS, so deep brain stimulation surgeries. They mostly have epilepsy or Parkinson's, and I go in while they're having their surgeries, and I just run tests. And I think it's so cool because their brains are open, and I'm talking to them, and it's just like my biggest dream, you know?
That is awesome.
Okay, I didn't know the patients were awake.
Yeah, it's
Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. Awake craniotomies.
Okay, well, can we maybe fit 2 more questions in? You can ask them anything about what they do, more failures, success stories.
I have a question. So what do you do when you meet a challenge, and what do you do to overcome it, and how do you not get unmotivated, or yeah?
Does someone want to answer this, or should I go?
I can go, or I can try to go. Well, for me, it's a little different now. I mean, back then, I'd probably, I mean, now, I think it's tying back to the last question. Like, for me, like, it's not that sorry, I got an email from my boss, but it's not that I necessarily made it. It's just that I feel, for me, like, I feel that I'm at a good place right now in the sense that I have security, financial security, for me and my family. So whenever I fail nowadays, like, it's not that I take it with a grain of salt, but I think back and, like, for example, I've had a hard time with this new job, and it's not that I've necessarily failed, but I've had a rough week. If you guys can tell by my dark circles in my eyes, I've had a hard week, but it's more of a, like, just perspective and seeing like, hey, I've gotten through harder stuff before in the past. And this job thing, while it's hard and while it's my career and I value it, I take it with a grain of salt because I've graduated through college as first generation. I paid through college. I paid all my educational expenses, and so I for me personally, it might be different for everyone. I just start taking stuff like not with the grain of salt, but just seeing, okay, like I've handled more difficult stuff in the past. This is not going to be any different. And it did take me a while to get into that mentality, but I think that's just me. I'm just focused on living life, outside of, like, sure, we've talked about hard work all along, and definitely it's important, be focused, go to college, study as much as you can, but you also, like, have fun at the same time. Even with your failures, have fun with it. Just because, like, for me, for a while, I felt I was so focused on getting the next big job or, this and that. And then I sometimes forgot to have fun. And so you just have fun with it. And even when you're having challenges, don't let them affect you that much. Just take a deep breath and say, how have I handled it in the past, and how can I handle it now? And, just don't let it get to you, just because, like, life is also about having fun. I'm a big believer in that. You can ask me about that any day. So, yeah.
And I want to echo and add to my answer to Christian or Chris. I'm not sure what do you go by, Chris or Christian?
Either works.
Okay, well, I'll say Chris. So to Frankie's point, I want to say that, like, the best you can do, like when you have a failure, I mean, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna feel that. If you need to take a day, take 2 days, take those days, like take care of yourself, feel it. You're gonna feel it, but don't let it define you. Like the moment where you start letting that define you and be a reflection of who you are, then that's when you're kind of stepping into some tough territory. I think it's important to remind yourself that that's not all you are. A failure is not all you are. It actually, you know, and you might not have that perspective right away, but it actually is making you smarter, sharper, better. You know, if you approach it the right way, it will benefit you in the long run.
Gosh, such good advice. I see Wendy taking notes, and so am I. I think we have time for one more question, and then we'll have to thank our panelists. And if any of you want to keep in touch, I'm volunteering/voluntolding my friends here to drop in their emails or LinkedIn's so people can stay in touch with you. But Cassie, Kim, or Katie, do you have some parting questions with our panelists? Okay, so Cassie says no. One more scholar question. I think she did that on purpose. So who didn't come prepared?
I can ask a quick question. I just want to know how you guys have taken advantage of the fact that you're bilingual. Like have you taken advantage of that?
Okay, we can do quick, maybe run around between all three of you.
Okay, I can start. So I personally, it's really hard to get internships for me in research and in my field. So I would look primarily, I was only looking at doctors who studied in Mexico or had a Spanish background. And during my interviews, I would speak to them in my native language, and they appreciated that so much that most of them I was an automatic yes. And one of the best internships that I've actually gotten was research with a UCSF neurosurgeon, and he actually got me the opportunity to be able to get published before I finished my undergrad. So it's just, I think looking for people that share your background and who will appreciate and value it as much as you do, so that they can provide opportunities that they know that will fit you specifically.
Yeah, for me, I work in finance, so we're always needing a Spanish speaker. We have clients in Latin America. We invest in Latin America everywhere I've gone. Even like at Goldman Sachs, remember, we had to somehow find information on Brazilian agreements or like Portuguese. And that's not even close to Spanish, but some of the kind of the root words are in Spanish, and even that came handy. And I remember telling them, like, I don't know Portuguese, but I was the person in the team with the closest thing to it. And I mean, I made it work out. I mean, I remember finding the information we needed, and, you know, and then a big thing for me, and it's kind of funny / not, but since I'm always like one of like 2 Spanish speakers in the entire team or company or whatever that I've worked at, just clients that speak Spanish already, like they're more willing to do business with me. You know what I mean? I've spoken to clients in the past that, you know, Spanish is my first language, so I do speak it, you know, pretty fluently, at least in my opinion. And, you know, I've gotten the feedback from some of those clients that I'm only doing business with you guys because of you, and I feel kind of connected. I feel something in common with you guys already. And that just might be, you know, part of being, you know, kind of in this tree in the United States of this umbrella of being a minority, that you know, you want to do business with other people that look like you and speak like you. So literally everywhere I've gone, I've used it. And it's really valuable, and people appreciate it. I've translated entire financial statements from English to Spanish too. So it's useful.
Yeah, so for me, I see my role, my client is the enterprise itself. So I haven't been able to pull out my Spanish a lot at work for business purposes or to fulfill my role, but it definitely comes in handy when it comes to building networks. And like Frankie was saying, just like the interaction with him and his clients, like the interaction with people that I work with that might be in other departments that I hardly ever see, there's just a level of like more I don't know how to say it in English, but like confianza, like you trust the person a little bit more automatically because you can see that you have something in common, some heritage, some cultural something in common, and it kind of it removes a layer of inhibition, if that makes any sense. And so sometimes it's easier to connect with people and get closer to people just by, you know, pulling out your language and pulling out your culture and being like, hey, this is who I am. So in that aspect, it's definitely been nice and has kind of defined some of my networks and my relationships.
That's really great to know. I think on behalf of all admission scholars, say thank you for sharing your stories, especially the harder ones to share. I mean, just from today, I can think our students took a lot from this. I don't know if anyone else wants to say something, but if not, we can all unmute and say thank you.
I just want to say thank you as well. I'm just so grateful for your time and advice, and we're going to be bringing you guys back. So thanks so much. It's been wonderful to get to know you.
Thank you all, and thank you for your questions.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to speak to everyone.
Thank
you. Feel free to reach out. I put my email in the chat box, and Stefania can send it out too. Like I said, feel free to reach out, and just if you guys want me to look at anything or considering an opportunity, I'm happy to give some feedback. You know, I'm not much older than you guys, so you guys just reach out, and if you have questions about anything, you know, feel free to reach out.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have
Thanks
a
to
good
Stefania
rest-
and David for coordinating.
Yeah, have
Thank
a
you.
good rest of your evenings, everyone.
Thank
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.